Welcome to Raging Bullets, a DC Comics fan podcast, episode 511. We tackle Batman versus Two-Face. Welcome to Raging Bullets. I'm Sean Whalen, drnorge. I'm joined as always by my co-host Jim, the sensei of the whatnot, Segulin, the Duke of and of course the elder statesman of the podcast.
How's it going, eh?
Jim, on this one, we're going to be geeking out in the second of our three-part series, taking a look at some recent DC films as we take a look at Batman versus Two-Face on the eve of Justice League. We are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network, the League of Comic Book Podcasts, and the InfiniteComics.com podcast partnership. Jim, we are sponsored this episode, of course, as always, by DCB Service and InStockTrades.com. What's going on at DCBService.com?
Well, of course, they've got their bundles that I absolutely love. 50% off the different bundles, 45% off of the variant cover bundles. But you know what? They also have the Batman 66 Shakespeare Head Bust Bank. That's right. A life-size replica of the actual the bust from the 66 series. It does have a neck hinge, so you can tilt the head back for the dial button, and also that's where the coin slot goes in. 25% off, only $63.75. Definitely looking into this one. Thank you, DCBS.
Over at InStockTrades.com, they have the Batman Golden Age Omnibus Hardcover Volume 4. I don't know how I missed this one. I didn't pre-order this one, so I'm going to go and grab it because I've got the first three in this series, and they have them on the site. These are $75 hardcovers, and this one's 50% off. It's only $37.50. This collects Detective Comics 92 to 111, Batman 26 to 35, and stories from World's Finest Comics 15 to 22. It is a 784-page hardcover. These are wonderful volumes. It's to me, I was collecting all the showcase volumes when they were releasing them. But the one thing about them that always drove me a little nuts was the fact that they were the newsprint and black and white. These are full color, great page quality, collected in just beautiful volumes. I'm so excited for this one, and I'm going to grab... I missed it. I don't know how I missed this one, but I will own it. I've been collecting these. I just got the Nightfall one this week, the Volume 2, and I'm hoping I didn't miss Volume 3, because this was the Night Quest volume. So there's one more with Night's End, and I want to make sure that I have all three of those volumes in my collection, because I don't know, I'm loving these omnibuses. These are things that normally I'm a big collector of in hardcover format now. The Absolute Editions are my hardcover of choice, but these omnibuses are starting to really hit me now. Mr. Segulin, what kind of a podcast are we?
Raging Bullets is a spoiler podcast. We go in-depth into plotline, story twists, and whatnot of the Batman 66 versus Two-Face movie. So if you haven't watched the movie, you may want to come back later so you can better enjoy the show.
What was that?
I kind of started hiccuping. I caught it.
Was that what it was? It was a hiccup?
I started to, kind of like hiccup cough type of thing. I'm like, oh no.
I thought you were like going for something cerebral, and I'm like, I'm missing what you're doing there. No, this was really like this was a flub. Yeah, this was kind of a flub burp. You really could have turned that into like, you could have made like anything up and I would have bought it. Because I would have grunted and groaned and just gone, what I mean? So you could have really sold me on this. In a weird way, I kind of like it better. Let's talk some DC film.
You filthy criminals.
So, Jim, we're recording this on Wednesday, which is Justice League Eve, and just because of our own issues, we're kind of recording a series of three podcasts pretty close together for the purpose of kind of getting us caught up, and just, as kind of a thank you to our audience for being patient with us with everything we've had going on, to kind of more get the show back on track. But it's an exciting time, too, because we got a chance to talk about the Batman Harley Quinn movie on the last episode. We're going to be talking about the last Adam West animated feature on this episode. But before then, because it's Justice League Eve, like, I pre-ordered my ticket. Really am excited about it. I'm going tomorrow to the 6 o'clock showing. I I've stayed away. I don't want to say I've stayed away. I don't have any problem with seeing what reviews are or anything on this. I don't care if people love it, hate it, whatever. I'm excited. There's very little anybody could do right now to drain my excitement on this film. I know there's going to be some, because it's a DC movie, and I really don't mean this as a defensive DC fan. I just think that there is that kind of crowd now that like goes after a DC movie. So I'm kind of like prepared for that, and just kind of like what I'm hoping is this is more Wonder Woman in a fan response than Batman v Superman. And I mean genuinely. I don't mean shallow. I hope this film, I know they've gone through rewrites and there's been, kind of rumors and things of what's going on behind the scenes. I'm hoping that the end product that we're going to see is more representative of them seeing what people really dug about Wonder Woman. Because I really enjoyed Batman v Superman, especially that Ultimate Edition, the one that was, with the extra footage. I think that was a far better film. But in the end, if having seen Wonder Woman now versus that, Wonder Woman was a far better film. And I mean, it's more, if you take a look at a direction that their films are heading in, they really need to look at Wonder Woman as kind of a template for, this is the kind of understanding that you need to have of a character to develop a movie. So I'm actually optimistic, not just about Justice League, but about the Wonder Woman film kind of spearheading an overall direction. Because I'm well aware of the fact that Justice League was a film that was in production, and I'm talking about writing and everything like that, before Wonder Woman. So the changes that have gone into this film that I'm going to see tomorrow are representative of two different thought processes. And I'm excited to see how they've tweaked this film. I'm hoping that the changes that they've made are positives and have made it a better movie. And I say that as a fan who liked Batman v Superman. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm into this. I'm excited. And I'm hoping it is representative of kind of an amalgamation of the two, with more Wonder Woman seeping into it than even Batman v Superman. Because I like the actors. I like the footage that I've seen in the ads has been exciting to me. The costumes, I've seen some buzz on the internet where the costumes are kind of hit and miss with people. I don't really care about that. In the end, what I want to see is tone and a vibe and a feeling. There's a couple characters that I'm worried about, and I don't say that to walk in negative. It's more of a preference thing. And I would even say that about Aquaman. I'm a little worried about Aquaman in this. Not in a bad way. I think I'm going to really enjoy the film. And The Flash. The only reason why The Flash I'm worried about is I love so much the TV version of The Flash right now.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, that's kind of a Death Star for him, because the TV Flash is such a good television show. But I'm not letting that cloud my judgment that this is a separate universe. I'm going multiverse on this in my mind. The TV universe is its own thing, and I think that benefits this film, in my mind, for me, because I'm walking in, they're not trying to say these are connected. Good. So that frees me as a fan to go in and enjoy this as its own thing. It's part of the films that we've seen previously. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, Batman v Superman, she was the highlight. I'm assuming she's going to be a highlight in Justice League.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that Ben Affleck's Batman gets to shine in this, because I want to see that from him. I like Ben Affleck as an actor, and I would like to see that Batman shine in this a bit. I'm a Batman junkie. I want to see Batman shine in this one. And I want to be surprised by Aquaman and The Flash, because I'm walking in worried about those two characters. And worry might be is probably a stronger word than how I'm really feeling. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, it's with you, like you with The Flash, because we have this great, what I call a perfect Barry Allen Flash on the TV show. Absolutely just hits everything I think in my head for Barry. Bam, I'm seeing that on the TV show. So there's going to be a comparison to that, because this character is not that person. So that's the only, I'm wondering what's going on. But for me, Aquaman, as soon as I heard the actor, yes. I was like, oh yeah, oh yeah. He's not going to be the Arthur Curry we're used to. But to be honest, I've got no problem with this guy being just this, absolute, just butt-kicking Aquaman. This is not going to be, the Arthur Curry we see in the comics. This is going to be a little bit dirtier, a little bit nastier, a little bit more warrior and less king, which it's, some people are not going to like that for Aquaman, but for me, as soon as I saw who it was, I'm like, okay, I'm all in on this one. I want to see him as Aquaman just because I love the actor so much, and I like how when he does play these larger than life, powerful characters, I want to see him really just unleash as the unstoppable warrior. I want to see that, and that's I think what we're going to get with this guy. And so, I'm not. Again, I don't know what they're going to do with them, but I'm looking forward to this movie. And like Wonder Woman just completely so rocked beyond anything that I'm like, she's going to be forefront in the Justice League. And Affleck, I'm hoping we get some good stuff with him. Because like I like Affleck. I like his movies. I've had some issues with some of the stuff he's done, but as a general rule, I like him as an actor. And I had no problems with the way his portrayal in Batman vs. Superman. So, yeah, I'm with you. I want to see some cool Batman stuff.
See, with the Aquaman piece, I hope you're right and wrong at the same time. And let me clarify that. Mm-hmm. The Aquaman you're describing is a lot more Peter David's Aquaman run to me. And yet, the one piece that you had in that one, he was still the king. He still was. There was a point where he wasn't the king in that. And there was a point where he regained being the king in that. So I want to see that feeling like this is the king of Atlantis from him. I want to be wrong on this one because I love the actor too. The casting's great. So that's my initial worries walking in. And when I say that, I walk into a lot, like, here's the thing, Star Wars is coming up. I'm a Star Wars junkie. I'm super excited for that film. Stoked. Are there some things I'm worried about in that one? Yeah, because here's what I'm worried about. What are they doing with Luke Skywalker? And I'm a Luke fan. So, I want to make sure that, I want this to be a Luke Skywalker geek out. I'm very worried that this is going to be their Empire Strikes Back, which I know it's going to be, of this trilogy. And you don't want there to be a misstep. So as a fan, I don't walk in expecting the negative. I don't mean it that way. You get kind of tentative. You get excited about certain things and tentative about other things. And I think that's a normal reaction. I'm walking in very open-minded to this film, but there's two characters I'm worried about. Aquaman, I'm a little bit worried about for some of what you said. Not that I don't want that tone, because the things you're excited about, I am too. I just hope that's not... I guess here's what I'm worried about. I'm worried that that's all there is to it.
Right.
And I'm hoping there's more substance than what you presented. I want everything you said. So when I say I agree and disagree with you at the same time, it's more of when the certain things you were excited about, I'm nodding. I'm like, yes, I'm excited about that too, because the actor's phenomenal. But here's the thing. I think that actor is capable of the kind of depth that showcases both. And here's where I have hope for Aquaman in this. When I see the screenshots of Mira and how close she looks to the comics, I'm like, maybe I'm wrong. So I'm walking in under the thing saying, I'm worried that they maybe, just because the Aquaman that they've showed in this is a little bit more the warrior one that you're talking about. And I look at that as, is that all he is? Are we going to see the Regal King? Because the joking with Batman and stuff like that that's gone on in this, I haven't seen yet that other layer that I'm looking for in Aquaman. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for another layer I haven't seen yet. So I'm liking everything I see, so I want to clarify that. My worry is that it's missing a layer. And right. I don't have a problem if it's just that this film doesn't let us see that yet. Because the Solo film, if this Mira is any indication with where they're heading, the casting looks good. I mean, she looks great. Like, she is exactly how I'd picture Mira. So I'm walking in saying that, but hopeful at the same time, which is fun. Like, I'm excited for this. So none of this, is crabby. Flash, I want to be surprised by too. I want to walk out and go, I was wrong about the Flash. Because the actor, another actor, who is a great actor. So those are two characters where I'm tentative on, but I want the film to smack me upside the head. I don't want to fill in those blanks myself. I want the film to do it for me. So I'm walking in optimistic and hoping that this film surprises me with those two characters in particular. Cyborg, I'm very stoked about. I want to see that character play out in the film. Yeah. And obviously, Superman. I want to see Superman. I am very excited to see Superman. I want this to be, I don't want to say the turnaround because I've liked Superman so far, but I want to see there be a shift, more an organic shift, because I think there's an opportunity with his Superman to gradually grow him organically into the kind of Superman that will appeal to the fans that have been digging it so far and the crowd that hasn't liked him, has found something too dark about the character. And I think, when you do a rebirth of the character, which this is the death of Superman storyline they did, we're going to see him at some point. I hope we get to see him with some sort of substance in this. I'm hoping we don't get to see him in a cliffhanger.
Yeah. That is what I am worried about. That he shows up at the very end, and it's the cliffhanger, and you're like, "Dang it!"
Yeah.
But it's interesting because as you're talking, I'm agreeing with you on. I don't just want because Arthur Curry there is the coolness of when he has that air of nobility to him. So yes. I do want to see that actor pull off some type of kingly vibe to him. And that could, to be honest, in my head, I'm thinking that's going to be the Solo movie. Maybe right now he doesn't have the throne of Atlantis. And maybe the Solo movie is him reclaiming the throne.
Yeah, and here's the thing. When I say that, there's a lot of ways this film could handle him where I won't have any issue with that because it may be just the way that they're using him in this film. It's kind of given us, let us get to know the character. We're not getting enough of the backstory to know all those layers yet. And I'm okay with that. Wonder Woman was very much an introduction in Batman v Superman. And we got to see enough of her to be teased into her solo film, right?
Right.
So this one, obviously, we're going to see Aquaman more in this one than we saw Wonder Woman in I don't know. Wonder Woman was pretty prevalent in Batman v Superman. So if they handle him in this the way that they handled Wonder Woman in Batman v Superman, and it teases me into his solo film, and we get some great moments with him in this, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that going, hey, Jim, they gave me kind of a strong introduction to Aquaman and teased enough that there's more to get to know about the character. I'm cool with that. Completely cool with that. The Flash, I would say the same thing. Give me enough where I'm not feeling like I'm losing. I don't have the identity of the character that I'm looking for in this. So I'm walking in with the jitters and excitement at the same time, which that to me is far better than walking in ambivalent. Right. I'm walking in excited and intrigued and caring already about this movie. I'm not down on it. So if this is coming off as that, I'm not. But there's you hear rumors, you hear about rewrites, you hear about what they're going to do with this character, that character, and those things are all of that, just rumors and speculation. Some of them are based on passing comments that don't necessarily mean that they're going to play out the way in the movie that those passing comments would indicate. So I don't know. I'm very, very intrigued and interested by all of this. I couldn't be more excited about tomorrow. I'm like chomping at the bit. Like I planned my day tomorrow. I mean, I have work tomorrow and I'm excited to go to work and all that. But I'm literally going to be watching the clock. I got a lot to do tomorrow. I'm going to be watching the clock with anticipation and excitement to get to that. I'm not going home for dinner. I'm going straight to the movie. I want to get, go see this and just enjoy it. And I wanted to go. I'm glad they have a 6 o'clock because I used to do the midnight shows when that was your only option on the night before. And I loved those. I loved the fan geek out and that type of thing in those midnight shows. But I'm going to be honest. I like the part of me that at 6 o'clock is going to be wide awake watching this on a lounger in 3D. Yes. I'm like, okay, maybe this is old man Sean going in there and enjoying it. But I'm glad I have that option because the theater's right around the corner from my house. Because I've moved since the last time I had a chance to see a big one. It's an interesting time. You know what I haven't had a chance to see yet? Thor. And I've heard nothing but great things. Like my boss saw it, who's not like a superhero. Well, I shouldn't say that. He likes superhero movies, from a casual standpoint, enjoys all of them, especially the good ones. And he raved Thor. He said Thor was like one of his favorite superhero movies he's seen. So I want to see that yet. I'm hoping that there's room in the market right now, that Thor's been out enough that these two movies can coexist, if you know what I mean. Like,
yeah, there can be only one.
No, here's the thing, because I've heard Thor is so good, I want Thor to do well.
Yeah.
What I want is for this, the movie theater audience, when they start going crazy for things, let those movies go. I want this to be a geek fan fest where I'm hoping Justice League is as good as Thor. I'm hoping Star Wars is as good as both. And, we just have this nice geek out, all the way through. I don't know. As a kid, this is like a dream couple of months.
Yes, I know.
I would have never thought we were going to get these. I honestly, because of my eye issues, I was not able to see Thor. I had a conference I had to go to for work this past weekend. So I have not... Thor, the only reason why I have not seen Thor on the big screen is I just have not had the opportunity. Obviously, Justice League, if one of them's going to win out, it's going to be Justice League. But I'm a big fan of Planet Hulk. So I want to see that movie in the worst way. Because I've heard nothing but good things. And I'm glad. I'm really glad that they're... Because I think this is supposed to be a 3-movie Hulk arc. Where they're kind of doing Hulk in 3 different movies. And there's an ongoing arc, from what I've heard.
Cool.
And I think that's great. So, and I'm glad that we've got some DC movies that are kind of doing their own thing. I don't want this to be another one. I want this to be a Wonder Woman. I really do. And I want it to be genuinely one. I don't want it to be, I'm not looking for manufactured. What I want is I want to walk out of this and go, man, that felt as good as Wonder Woman did. Because Wonder Woman didn't feel like a Marvel movie. Wonder Woman felt like very much like a DC movie. And I want this to feel like a DC movie. Because I definitely believe there's room for both universes in the film. And I think both universes suit the fans. Because you get something different from both if they're handled properly.
I agree.
So it's good stuff. So speaking about DC films, you want to talk about Batman versus Two-Face. So before we even start diving right into the film, Jim, why don't we talk about initial impressions about this one? Because this one was bittersweet for me. First thing, when Adam West died, the first thing I immediately looked to see is, did he finish the voiceover work for this? And I say that because growing up as such an Adam West Batman fan, I've got in my office here where I'm recording right now, I'm looking at my Mego Wayne Foundation playset. It's the full size one that matches the Mego characters. And this was my big score off of eBay. I had this as a kid. And I made the mistake at a certain point in time in high school of, getting rid of it at a comic shop because I needed money to kind of finance comic hobbies and stuff like that. And they were buying toys back then. And I always regretted it because, I was at high school. I wasn't at an age where I would have set it up. And now I'm at a point where, my office is full of geek culture stuff. And the one crown jewel that I wanted back was the Mego playset because as a kid, that and the Batman Crime Lab that went with it, which I do have. Figures Inc. actually released brand new versions of this. I now have that. And I have the Batcave, which I never had, the Batcave playset, below it all. I took a TV stand, the ones that they have for the flat screen TVs. And I've got the Mego playset for the Wayne Foundation on the top tier. And underneath it, I took out the middle shelf and I put the Batcave and it fits in there perfectly.
Nice.
So it's below the Wayne Foundation building.
It's got to be, yeah, makes sense.
So it's and I've got the crime lab parked next to it. So it's life is really good. But what I have in there, I have the Mego version of Batman and Robin in the crime lab. But Figures Inc. released these Batman 66 Mego-sized characters that, as a kid, I'm like, this is my dream action figure. They look like the TV counterparts. So I've been collecting them. Not all of them, but, I've got the Batgirl from that. I've got the Batman and Robin from that. I've got the Alfred from that. There's certain, they just look great. So those are the ones that are actually in my Wayne Foundation, kind of on display. And I've got accessories for them that they never made back in the day, like the Shakespeare bust and the red phone are inside my Wayne Foundation now. I'm like, and I ended up buying the helicopter because there's actually a helicopter pad on top of the Wayne Foundation. Never had the helicopter as a kid. So I found that on eBay and I've got Wendy and Marvin in there. So the point of all that though is, That all stems from, as a kid, my childhood love for Batman came from the 66 show. I was watching that in reruns. I'd run home from school. I did not miss it. Sometimes it was on during the week. Other times they would air it on the weekends. But I ended up watching every episode and just loving it. Not knowing it was a parody. He was my Batman. He was the hero. You know, there was an interesting moral code to him. And this smart crime fighter. And somehow he just always knew everything. Even though, like, now I can look at it and go, the logic leaps that show made, which were meant to be a parody, are absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I really, I find it endearing now to watch it and see that piece. So when he passed away, I was thinking about the recent animated feature and how good it was. And how they managed to modernize it kind of like they did the comic book without losing the special feel of the TV series. And this one, with it being William Shatner finally facing off against Adam West, you know, in the whole Two-Face storyline, I really was excited for this one. So I was like, oh man, I hope he finished that one, because I wanted to have one more romp with Adam West and just to kind of go through and enjoy that with him as Batman. And I know there's rumors, they were talking about if this is successful, they might do more, which I have no issue with. I really don't, with somebody else doing the Batman voice. But this one will always be special for me because it was the last one with Adam West and actually getting to see that. So whether they do another one or not is irrelevant to me. I'll enjoy it because I like this series. I think the writing's very strong on it, and I wouldn't mind if they do more. But this one in particular, I watched all the extras. They had some interviews with like Burt Ward. They had they had a panel from the San Diego Comic-Con that was like a tribute to Adam West, where they actually had some footage of Adam West talking about Batman and his feeling about the fans. And you could tell like he reached a point in his life where he no longer resented it. You know, the fact that he got typecast because of the character, but began to kind of see, wow, it's very special that at this point in time, people love me for this character. You know, you still got the fan base. And I think that was genuine. You know, like he reached a point where he's kind of like, it's nice that this cyclical kind of thing happened for the man, where he got to appreciate the fact that we're still here with him and still loving this. So it's so interesting to talk about what my impressions were on this one, when this was a childhood staple for me. And I feel like a kid again watching this one. And there's so much emotion. First of all, I think it's a very good film. And some of that is magnified because of the feelings that I'm mentioning. But if he was still alive today, I would still be saying that I feel this is a very good film. But it has that extra layer on it. And I haven't even gotten to talking about William Shatner. But that's my initial impressions, and we'll talk more about it as we go through. You and I had a very different experience with Batman 66 growing up. So where are you at on this film? How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I tell you, I got a feeling this is going to be an episode where I don't get a lot of talking in. I just got that feeling right from the very beginning.
Oh, I'm having a geek out on this one. I think you'll get a lot of talking in. It's just I'll be talking like 3 times as much. So what'll happen is it'll just be a longer episode, because I honestly, my question to you is genuine. I'm anxious to hear what you think of this one, whether we're in the same spot or not.
Well, my journey with Batman 66 is dramatically different than yours. And we've talked about this before on the show that, you know, as a kid, I watched it, but I'm nowhere near as passionate as you were about it. You know, if I watched it, cool. If I didn't, okay. It just, the style for the show, just for whatever reason, it just didn't click with me. And it's because of the camp and because of the parody nature. And as a kid, I didn't recognize that, you know. And then as I got older, you know, I started seeing that. I'm like, okay, I kind of like that style, but it still wasn't anything that had any lock in. And eventually, when we started doing the podcast, the 66 is kind of more of I respect what it came from, what it did for the Batman, what it did for that, but it was never any enjoyment from it. I would watch it, you know, and there's some stuff I'd grown at and some stuff I would laugh at, but there was never any time I was like, yeah, I got to watch this. And it's weird. As time started going on, I started, getting a better appreciation for it, and it transcended appreciation and started becoming enjoyment. Especially the last animated, I truly completely enjoyed that. And then when I rewatched the 66 movie, I enjoyed the movie. It wasn't just an appreciation for what it was actual enjoyment. I went back and I started watching some of the TV show, something I never thought I would ever do, just because I'm enjoying it. I'm going, you know what, this is fun, and I don't even want to call it a palate cleanser, because it's not. It was fun. And I finally started getting that click where I started understanding the fun behind what Batman 66 is, which with the little late, especially, I love how everything is always labeled. That always cracks me up. And those logic leaps you talk about, where where does he go from this to there? There's no logical stream of consciousness that how did Batman figure that out? Those kind of stuff I started laughing at now, and not laughing at in, oh my God, that's terrible, but laughing at it in the way it's supposed to be, laughing with it, the enjoyment, the humor, what these moments are supposed to be. I started recognizing that. So, for me, with these animateds, I really started enjoying this. And again, when he died, I was like, oh no, because I was like, we're never going to get another one of these, and I actually I felt really bad, because I was digging Adam West as Mayor West on Family Guy. He's absolutely hysterical in that role. Mm-hmm. And then with these, I'm like sitting there and again, it was old Dr. Seuss, don't cry because I'm gone, smile because I was ever there. And I'm like, you know what? That's how I'm approaching this, where I'm laughing, I'm enjoying the fact that I got to finally see this Batman versus Two-Face. I got to see one last run as Adam West as Batman, and it's I'm like, this is cool. And I completely changed how like my second and third watchings of this were definitely different. Was just sitting back and enjoying the show. And enjoying what I got, and enjoying what I'm seeing. And like you, if they were to do another one with a different voice, I would get it, but there is something special about this one. There's something special about the other animated, where they really let, again, it's, so and again, with this one, with the other 66 stuff, I love this. I absolutely had a ball watching this. It was fun, and I loved saying that it was fun just because, it is who it is. And this is one of those things where I'm so glad that I finally am able to appreciate and enjoy this, because there was always an appreciation for what it was in the annals of history and whatnot. But now I actually enjoy it, and I actually have fun, and I laugh out loud at some of the moments, and there was a couple of times when I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, I gotta watch that again. What's he doing? Come on, man. And there's this, a pure enjoyment of this. So yeah, this was a great movie. And so it's funny, we're in the same boat, but we had a very different journey getting there.
And I think that's interesting. Can I ask you a question? Because some of the comics came out, the Batman 66 comics. Did you read any of those? Did you like those? Or were you still kind of on that journey of kind of finding where this fits for you?
I was still on the journey, figuring I didn't really read any of those.
Okay.
And again, it's all part of the journey. And that's something I'm probably going to go back and, look at some of the collected editions of those and have those and to read and enjoy, because again, that's, I'm still going through the TV show. I'm not power watching it like I'm watching other stuff, or binge watching, whatever you want to call it. But I'm just, I'm sitting there, at home, and I'm like, you know what? I need to laugh. I want to have some fun. So I'll throw in 66. There's a couple stuff that I throw on, like Family Guy. As I said, I've been really going through all the seasons of Family Guy and watching that just because It cracks me up. So there are moments in my life where I need to just laugh. 66 is one of the things I'll put in. Family Guy is something I'll put in. I don't know what other. There's just I watch some old wrestling stuff that, when I just want to enjoy life, I'm like, I'm just going to sit back and think. I'm not going to think. I'm not going to have any deep thoughts. I'm just going to have fun. And wrestling is one of the things I'll do. I watch some old pay-per-views and old TV shows. So so 66 is in that rotation.
You were talking about Family Guy, and it just kind of triggered something for me from from the San Diego panel where they were honoring him. Somebody said at one point, they're like, they didn't make Adam West into a different character. It was Mayor Adam West because of the fact that Adam West in and of himself is such an iconic character. And I really liked that because there's something I've always found, while the character's constantly funny when he comes on, and it's obviously, it's him kind of, I don't want to say parodying him. Well, I guess to a certain extent he is parodying himself and having fun. I guess that's more of what it is. I really felt like it was more him having fun. I don't know. I really, every time he's on screen in Family Guy, and the nice part is this current season, we still have some Adam West. I just love every time he comes on the screen. It's just such a great use of him in that show. I'm a big Family Guy fan. And I jumped on the Family Guy bandwagon late. And it was like 4 seasons in, maybe 4, I think. I don't know. My wife and I started binge watching it, just kind of really getting heavily into it. And now it's, been one of those where I buy every season off of iTunes because I just, new one pops up, watch it without commercials. But I know it's, to your point, it's one of those shows I'm going to watch over and over again because it makes me smile. It's a lot of fun. There's so many pop culture references that are relevant to us growing up. We've got some friends of ours that, like, you'd be shocked don't like Family Guy. And the only reason why I say that is because they seem to be obsessed with pop culture references. And I'm like, and you don't like Family Guy? Really? It's like rife with this stuff. And it's so in our era. And they're like, who does it? Our friend Kurt, he does not like Family Guy. And I'm like sitting here, like, you don't like Family Guy? He said he doesn't get it. And I'm like, and the show that he likes is Get a Life, which I love that Get a Life too. But from a logic leap standpoint, if you can enjoy Chris Elliott's Get a Life, I don't know how you don't enjoy Family Guy. That's really the same. It's the same lane.
Yeah, that's definitely, yeah.
Both are brilliant in their own way. And I feel so much in the same comedic vein. But Mayor Adam West in Family Guy has been absolutely phenomenal. I want to jump back to this film real quick. And before we start really talking the story and that piece, William Shatner as Two-Face in this. It's I had met William Shatner at one of the comic conventions, and I got to admit I've been kind of down on him since, and I'm a huge William Shatner fan. Love Captain Kirk, love T.J. Hooker. He's one of those guys that, Private Practice, the stuff that he's done, I've always enjoyed. But I met him, and it was one of those few experiences where I got a picture with him. It was so clearly like there was no engagement at all. And this is after meeting Stan Lee, who Stanley's just kind to everybody. And then Henry Winkler, the Fonz, shows up in yellow shirt and purple pants and is asking everybody's name and calling them by name. I mean, I'm like, meeting a childhood hero like the Fonz, and like he made it such a great experience. And, meeting Adam West and Burt Ward and things like that. I don't care about paying for those things. It's not, I don't care, it's my choice to pay the money for a picture with those people. But what I do appreciate is, listen, if I'm going to pay for a picture to be with you, at least give me a moment. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that, like, they don't owe me anything other than the fact, let me say thank you to you and at least pretend that you, acknowledge it. The rest of them all did. And I felt good walking out of those lines. And if you ask me again, would you spend the money? I'd spend, in some cases, I would have spent double. Henry Winkler was like $35, which might sound a lot to some people. Comparatively to other people, he's not. He's very inexpensive. And I honestly would have paid double for him in an instant because I grew up being a huge Happy Days fan and loved it. William Shatner was the only one where it was like, and you can even tell in the picture, it was like somebody woke him up to take a picture with me. And I know he's notorious for that. And I'm regretting that I even paid for the picture with him because instead of it being this great moment with William Shatner that I can go, man, I met William Shatner, it's cool. it's kind of like, okay, I got a picture with William Shatner. You can even tell from my demeanor, and I'm just standing there. Whereas I'm genuinely happy with Stan Lee. The cast of Walking Dead, I look happy with. Adam West and Burt Ward. Adam West is naturally a little bit stoic, but Burt Ward is like Robin. And he's so jovial, and like he brings you into the whole thing. So all of these experiences were great. Yvonne Craig was so nice. I've always had good experiences. The Doctor Who cast. I've met so many of the doctors and gotten pictures with them. Always had a good experience. The William Shatner one was my dud. So where it's relevant to this is I walked into this kind of like, I don't know, I was such a big Shatner fan. I wasn't in this. I so appreciate him for his performance in this. And the performance was so good that it's turned me around on Shatner, where I'm like, okay, I'm a Shatner fan again. I'm never going to go ride horses with him. I get that. And that's fine. That dream's done. But I know that like in this film, he really took it seriously, got in the spirit of what Batman 66 was, and delivered a compelling Two-Face story. And I really loved his portrayal in this. I thought he did an amazing job. This did not feel like a phoned-in voiceover. It felt like he was really acting. And I say that not in any insult at all. I usually find my favorite voice actors, whether they're the big-name ones or the ones that we grew up with really some truly great voice actors doing Saturday morning cartoons straight on through. So, we've had a lot of actors now that are doing... traditional film actors and television actors and actresses who have now branched over into the film realm, the animated film realm, and are doing these pieces. And it's great. I think some of them really embrace it and do it the way the classic voice actors have. William Shatner did in this one. This was great. I mean, it was really, really well done from William Shatner. I don't know if you agree with me on that piece. I thought he was brilliant as Two-Face.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, I'm 100% in the same camp as you. And I never had an issue with Shatner before this. But then again, I'd never actually met the man, so who knows? But
you're lucky. You're very lucky.
No, but yeah. I think for me, it's and here's where really a director plays a strong role.
Yes.
With these animated. Because I remember a couple of the, I'm trying to remember which animated movie, but there was one of the the extras, and they were showing the actors work with the directors, and the one director was talking about the one she played Faith in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, that actress. I can't think of her
Eliza Dushku.
Thank you. I couldn't think of her name.
And I think I'm pronouncing, and I'm a huge Buffy fan like you are. If I'm pronouncing her name wrong to anybody out there, it's totally a mistake. But Faith is a great character.
Yeah. And the weird going with this is the director was talking about how she really put herself into the role, and she really, and the actress is talking about how they really gave her it was a solid direction. You weren't just reading it, you were actually getting into the role, and you were becoming part of it. Especially like with her, there was a lot of the fight sequences. I don't remember what character she was playing at the time, and I'm drawing a blank on even what movie it was, but she was going through how you got to do a lot of the kind of fight sequence sounds that you're making when not only just doing the voices. So it really opened my eyes what a director on the animated side would have to deal with. So with all of these animated they're doing some solid stuff with voice acting, with the direction. Just this was, again, stellar, solid thing where when you're watching an animated movie and it suspends disbelief that it's actually real.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And I would totally agree with that. It's interesting on this one. Let's start actually talking through the film as we go through. You and I are both queued up to the Warner Brothers logo, and we're not doing this as a traditional watch along. The only reason why I'm even telling you that we're starting it is if you kind of want to watch it along with us, great. But we're not going to be beholden to that. But I do geek out at the classic Warner Brothers logo. There was funny today. I was at a tech conference, and one of the things that they talked about was Saturday morning cartoons and how that was an 80s and before staple. And it's not something we have today. And every time I see that logo, it just kind of kicks me back into Looney Tunes and Warner Brothers cartoons and watching that whole piece. I love the beginning of this where they kind of do an overview of Gotham, because that was such a big part of the 66 show. Gotham, with the voiceover actor, was such a it's kind of a way of pulling you into the whole world. Catwoman and Batman in this. Julie Newmar, I didn't mention her earlier. Oh my gosh, was that romance really cool in this one, because I've always wanted to see some progression. You and I are both fans of progression. I thought the Batman Catwoman progression in this was really great.
Oh, big time. And again, this was, the end. You think about the end of the last one where she falls off the blimp and this and that. Oh no, I'm so glad that we got to see that she did, of course, survive. She's in prison now, but just the way this thing played out, this was, again, progression, neat little moments between these two. In the last animated, we got to see really the first time these two ever kissed, because as far as I knew in the TV show, Batman and Catwoman never kissed. And here, again, it's the continuing of this relationship. And I was like, man, this is awesome.
Yeah, it really was. And Robin, I really loved how they were playing off of the partnership with Batman and Robin, and almost the jealousy of Robin being like, listen, we got to get back to business here. This plays into it quite a bit in this one, the relationship between Batman and Robin, because this happens from best friends, right? When a woman enters into the relationship, when one of them hasn't been dating and the two have hung out all the time, it does change the dynamic. You're not able to hang out as much. This other person now has taken over the time. And Harvey plays that role in this too, where Batman's got another best friend. And Robin is becoming kind of territorial about that. And it was such a parody they were playing off of that. There's a truth to that in real friendships. This really does happen. So it was one of the pieces of this where I'm like, I'm digging how they're going with this one. And in the midst of all this, there's a compelling story going on with Hugo Strange about the way to remove evil. They have this machine now where we can suck the evil out of the bad guys. And Batman 66 is the only place that's going to have those hair dryer things that are going to be evil extractors.
Yeah, and of course you've got all the labeled on the evil extractor, the collection vat, and each of the different locations for where the different villain's going to go, because they've got their nameplate right there.
Right.
And the physics behind Batman 66 and is just the same as that kind of goofy with the logic leap, and I love that, because really there's no way you could do this, but it makes sense, and this is fine here. It works in this universe. And not only does it work, it makes you laugh. And I love the fact that they use this to create Harvey Dent. Yes. He doesn't have the same traditional Two-Face, origin. I love the fact that they took a pure something that could only exist in the 66 universe and use that to make Two-Face 66.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm glad that they didn't go with the traditional origin, because it wouldn't have fit this world and what they were trying to do here. And yet, even though it was a different sort of origin, they still thematically kept with the whole idea of the duality. Harvey fighting the inside of himself. It's kind of like the psychology of the Hulk.
Yeah.
Which is something, when Marvel does it at its best writers and its best films and television shows, talking about the psychology of the Hulk, there's something that I really enjoy. Having Harleen Quinzel be a part of this, which, she wasn't a part of the 66 universe, in the old TV series, I thought was really great. Every element of this, they added things into the Batman 66 mythos that were not there before, that I really appreciated, in a way that felt like having new guest stars now on the show.
Yes.
3 characters there: Hugo Strange, Two-Face, and of course Harley Quinn were introduced in this, and I loved every single minute of that.
Dude, I cheered out loud when he said her name. I'm like, yes, Harley! And again, it was again nice intro. again, the wink and nod to her between her and Joker. So laying the groundwork, if they were to ever do a third one, she could become a more prominent character in this. And it was, I don't know, it's one of those things where I'm like, man, I do want more of this universe, but
too.
How do you do it without Adam West?
Well, it's like saying, how do you do the Joker in this without Cesar Romero? I think you can do it. Is it going to be different? Absolutely. But in some ways, I guess I kind of look at it as long as you get it right, don't do it just to do it. Like, here's the thing. Here they told a compelling story, right?
Yeah.
So if there's a third one and they've got just as compelling a story, do it. But don't just do it to do it. That part, to me, is the key to this. I would love to see another one if it's this good. And that it would have to be that. And I think that's how you get past who's acting in it.
Yeah, I know. And to be honest, if they did it and we would watch it and we would give it a shot and we would see, and everything you're saying where with the storyline would drive this. And the storyline, what would be the actual, if you can't just do a third 66 just to do it. You have to have a reason. You have to have a solid story. Here they told a compelling story that it was some fun moments, and had some what is Batman 66 moments, but it was actually a really good, solid story. And I think that for me was something I really enjoyed. And actually, and also I liked how they showed the Two-Face, crime wave in these credits.
Yes.
Throughout the opening credits, they showed the battle between Batman and Two-Face. And for me, that was a really good usage of this. They gave us the intro, they gave us the middle, and now really the rest of the movie is about the redemption of, Harvey Dent. Can he come back? Can he beat Two-Face? Can Bruce save his longtime friend? Which is great Two-Face story. So it's, this was one of those things where they did not miss a beat for me. I absolutely love this.
Do you have access to a humongous double boiler?
I wish I had access to a humongous double boiler. Again, I love the labels.
I do too. It's one of the nice things about this. I too liked the choice that they gave this just a very quick history. He's been around in the Batman 66 universe all along. He was away. Now we're flashing to modern day of the 66 universe where Harvey now is able to be, he's cured. He's able to be, or so we think, he's able to be himself again. And I really liked that this was a redemption. This started out as a redemption story for Harvey, and in many ways will turn out to be that later in the film. But I really enjoy that piece. I can see this being the case. You always want, like, that lost friendship, that lost close friendship that Bruce and Harvey have. Bruce is almost clouded by. To some extent, he's right about his friend all along. In rooting for him and seeing the good inside him. He's kind of like his Darth Vader in many ways in this, where he sees the good man that's in there. But Robin's also right in questioning him. Not quite, in catching on that it's almost too good to be true.
Yeah.
And it plays out really well in this whole thing.
Yeah, and it's neat because with him and Robin, how there's moments where you look like, is this Robin being jealous or is this Robin actually looking at the facts? And I like how they really did dance that line, because there are moments when you're sitting there saying, okay, Robin's just being jealous of this friendship of him losing his buddy there. But then on other times you're like, you know what? Robin was right. The kid the kid actually had his eyes open, and Bruce was a little bit clouded by his friendship. So I loved how, again, within this story, they're giving you these nice kind of moral conundrums.
The King Tut scenes. I always enjoyed King Tut as a character. Actually, as a kid growing up, I will say he was one of the villains that wasn't one of my favorites growing up. But as I've gotten older, I've grown to I think because now I understand the parody, I've grown to appreciate him. And I think what it was is, as a kid, I appreciated the bigger, more well-known villains like Penguin and things like that. I wasn't as into, I didn't dislike them, but Bookworm, Egghead, King Tut, they always felt second tier to me because they weren't the ones that I was seeing in the comics when I eventually started reading them. So, it was kind of divided into two categories: comic book villains versus the Batman 66 television show, villains. And that piece was always interesting to me.
Yeah, I didn't really know King Tut. I did not remember him from the TV show or any of that stuff, to be honest with you. So, throughout their exposure with him, and this movie with him, I chuckled with him and I laughed out loud with, when they had him and they're like, oh, let's bring back Tut, tonk, tonk, the thumping on the heads and just little stupid goofiness that was King Tut in this. Had me laughing, had me just, rolling literally. So
I absolutely adore this bat pole sequence where we get to see the two of them, go through it. Because I always enjoyed that on the show. It's ridiculous that they slide down poles and all of a sudden they've got their outfits on. It doesn't make any, to your point about Batman 66 physics, this makes no sense at all. That it just kind of works, but it does. And this is the only venue that can get away with this. There's so much that this gets away with and needs to get away with that, like, this vehicle makes no sense.
Yeah.
But I adore it. It's the Batmobile. It just makes sense because it's the Batmobile.
Yeah. Well, and again, I love the fact that he labels all his bat boosters and the turbines. You'd think Batman would know what the different levers do, but hey, again, just, you gotta capture what was the magic of the show, and they completely did with this. And I don't know. One of the things that used to annoy me when I was a kid was when Gordon, didn't seem like he was an actual decent cop. And those times when they played him off as he didn't seem like he knew what he was doing. But to be honest, again, this is one of those things where I really enjoy. I started appreciating I laugh with this now. I get the joke behind this, that they're not, it's not that he's a bumbling cop. It's just that these are the different villains. These are, and especially because Batman is deputized in this. So it's like kind of like Batman's their SWAT. So when you need your special operations, you call him the Bat, and he deals with these guys.
It's funny. I watched the Batman movie when Adam West passed away. I'm talking about the live action one that was released in the theaters. And the one piece I noticed from that one was, and I don't remember if it was on that or one of the TV episodes. As I watched that, and then I watched a couple TV episodes, there was this one bit in either one or the other, and I'm forgetting which now, where they're ready to call the Batman because of what's going on. And it was like the two of them were like contemplating handling it themselves. And then one of them goes to the other, who are we kidding? There's only one man that can handle this. And I'm like, I so am a fan of the partnership between Jim Gordon and Batman that did stand out for me. But it so works in this for some reason. And I'm like, okay, and then when you see them there, it really does feel like a partnership between them in the sense that they collaborate. He shares with them. He doesn't hold anything back from the police. He comes in and he's actually, because they say at some point in time he's a deputized member of the police force or something like that. So when he comes in, the communication is so open and honest. He tells them everything. And I really quite like that part.
Yeah. And again, it's, it completely, for me, takes away any negativity against Gordon and the rest of the Gotham PD. And they did it in a great way where it is comical, where they're like, who are we kidding? Call Batman, and I pray he answers. And of course, Bat's there, and he's like, you'll never have to worry about me not answering. And it's just those Batman entries and those moments where you have Batman being Batman. And again, it's, this kind of stuff fits completely with the 66. The regular movie, I'd be angry. The comic book, I'd be angry if Gordon was made to look bad, because one of the, in the most recent Batman films, the thing that we both loved was the portrayal of Gordon. That he was an honest cop, he was a hard-hitting cop, and he actually threw down and did his part. He was part of the team. He worked with Batman. This one, he's not so much as part of the team, but he is actually there, and it's okay and it's good, and it's fun.
I loved there's two pieces that I really loved in this fight sequence. One was the part with Alfred where Harriet collapses, in shock, and Alfred was standing up, ready to fight, to protect her. There was an honor to that. I always liked, I believe his name was Alan Napier. I could be butchering his name. The gentleman who played Alfred. I always adored him. I thought he was just a great character. To talk about a true partnership with Batman, that was something the series portrayed very well, especially with having to keep the secret from Aunt Harriet. He really did a great job of being not just their butler, but their confidant. He dressed up as Batman to convince everyone that Bruce Wayne was not Batman. They handled this very, very well in the television show, so I was glad to see that handled here. I loved the bat net with the escape, but also there's points during the fight where Batman ducks down and Robin does this like dual punch, and it was so reminiscent of the way I loved the two of them fighting together in the choreography of the TV series. I liked that they didn't limit themselves to what you could do in live action. They took advantage of animation, but at the same time did the right balance of giving you the tone of what the fight choreography was like in the show without being beholden to it. Because you wanna give it an edge up because you can do a little bit more with animation.
Yeah, and showing the acrobatic nature of Robin. They really, went, because you think about it, just Robin is this acrobat, so he needs to be able to do these flips. He needs to be able to do, again, riding the one table, as after it gets thrown on him, riding it kind of like a unicycle type thing. You need to have these moments that only, a member of the Flying Graysons could pull off, and they couldn't do it completely in the TV show or the live stuff. But in the animated, they can do it well, and I like seeing those kind of stuff. I like seeing that parts of in these animated series.
I agree with you. The Tut trap was an interesting one. It did lead me to think about something because last episode we talked about the Batman and Harley Quinn one, which I was listening back to that episode when I was editing it, and I'm like, I don't want to feel like I'm misrepresenting myself. I did like that movie. But I think the difference between these two, and there really is a nice comparison here, this thematically understands what it's trying to be. And it never takes you out of that. Once you're pulled into this world, you're consistently pulled into the Batman 66 world. Even their escape. They're able to do things they couldn't have done on the television show, but they're still the same kind of, like, they just happen to have these bat boots and things like that and gadgets that just work great. In the way that they escape, it just makes no sense, and it's in the charmingest way that totally fits Batman 66. That I'm never taken out of the experience of I expected this to be a really well done Batman 66 movie, and so is this.
Oh God!
And so I think that's the difference between this and that movie is it never misunderstands what it's trying to be and does it well.
The campy and humor in this doesn't take away from the moments. Like, as we talked about the fart scene, in Batman Harley Quinn, the campiness of Nightwing took away from what would have been, for me, an hysterical moment. Because I like that kind of sense of humor. Farts equal funny to me. So if they hadn't had Robin acting going, oh, please, I would have been howling in that scene. But because that moment took it away. Whereas with this, the physics behind this is impossible, and just like the one single bop on his head, a hit to the head does not change your personality, but it's okay here, and it made me laugh with this guy going, oh, what's going on? Oh no, I'm Tut again. Oh, darn me with this, every time he gets hit on the head, he becomes Tut, or then he gets hit back, he becomes the normal guy. And it's, these funny moments that they're using this, it doesn't take away from the story.
That's exactly right. And I think you're hitting what I really like about this. It never at any point in time takes away from what's an entertaining and well done story. The Tut thing. See, you didn't remember Tut from the TV show.
No, not at all.
Tut was a reoccurring villain. He came about more than once and was great. Now, I say that. As a kid, I never appreciated King Tut. As an adult, I really appreciated what they were doing with this character. So this is, again, another endearing look back at the series for me. For you, is this your first
my first real dealings with Tut, to be honest with you. Because the episodes I've watched, I didn't see really Tut, because I haven't seen the whole series yet. I'm still going through slowly, so I don't remember seeing a Tut episode.
And it was later on that he came in.
So I'm earlier stuff.
But it's great. I love that Lee Merriweather's in this too. That they pulled 2 of the 3 Catwomen. Yeah. And had her in this piece. To the point where they actually have her wind up eventually in the costume. That was really great. This does a lot of fan service without it being, you know what it does? It does fan service that's organic versus it being derailing. Because sometimes you can try too hard to shove that in and you lose something. The pacing in this and their understanding of the need to tell a good Batman 66 story while giving the fan service is really good. The court sequence plays into that whole piece. If there's one small criticism I have of this one is Chief O'Hara. They really do make him look pretty foolish in this one. That would be my only real criticism of this one, would be I like Chief O'Hara quite a bit, and I feel like they make him look like a dope during part of this. The crying.
Yeah, he doesn't do well. He does not come across well. But again, it's one of those. I was okay with that, and I chuckled at the how easily he crumbled under cross examination. I found the humor in that, and especially I also really did like the fact that Batman and Robin are in court. How many times within the comic book universe are the superheroes ever in court? They never are. Cases should get thrown out because they're not present for questioning. They're not present for cross-examination, whereas they are here in this universe. And I think that for me is, again, something I really enjoyed in this story, is the fact that Batman does take the stand and then the cross-examination and just, again, the nice little hints of, the darkness that's still inside Harvey, because, again, when they showed him being cured, air quotes around cured, you're naturally suspecting, okay, he's not completely cured, but they really didn't give you a full explanation. They didn't really show it to you. And so I'm sitting there watching this thinking, okay, is Two-Face still in there, or is there something that's going to bring him back, or what's the deal with Harvey?
Yeah, this is really interesting for me as I'm watching through this one. Just really enjoying the depth that William Shatner played Harvey Dent in this. I think that was my favorite episodes of the 66 show. We often talk about the parody nature of it, and it's often ignored that some of the episodes are really well done and really deeply written. They did some clever things with this show. And at its best, there was some really great two-parters that were written of this while telling jokes. They managed to do the right balance of it. Not every episode. Some of them, when you watch them back, they're like real groaners by this day and age. I think it's an example of sometimes the joke went too far. But there's a lot of great two-parters in this that hold up as an adult when I'm watching it now. And I'm like, wow, they really touched on some pretty deep subjects. The very first episode, for example, when he starts talking about his parents' death.
Yeah.
They actually referenced the superstitious and cowardly lot beasts in this. They referenced it in that episode, too. They were dealing with some pretty deep themes in that, as far as Batman's motivation for being who he was right from the beginning of the series. And I really liked that with it. I really am sad that this show didn't wind up having a 4th season, because they came very close to having one at a different network, but they had taken down the sets already. And I would have loved to have seen where they would have gone if they had the chance to continue on. Similar to with Star Trek, what we'd say with the original series. It would have been nice to see where that went, because they had that animated series afterwards, which was brilliant. I would have loved to have seen more of this. And I guess we're kind of getting it with this. But I would have loved to have seen where they would have taken it if they had the chance to continue. Would they have been able to organically change it in a way where it could have kept going and done some forward movement with the series?
Yeah, and it's weird because with the series being so comical, being so parody, they did take their moments where they did express this and give you a real story in it. And that was something that I started noticing more, one in the movie, and as well as when I started watching some of the episodes and just seeing the the care and the development that they were taking. It was a really good blend of that. And the animated especially are doing that. We're getting these solid Bat stories. We're getting solid, true Batman stories just in this universe. And I think that for me is it's what's made me actually enjoy going back and rewatching the TV show, is when I started seeing solid, actual, real stories.
Now, one of the things that I really enjoy about this is like The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, The Man in the Iron Mask, A Tale of Two Cities. He's missing all the duality references that we're all catching along the way. And I loved that. I actually loved as a fan that I was seeing the clues that they were laying out. I mean, they were right smacked in your face on purpose, but I enjoyed that. I really liked that aspect of this because Batman's talking about his encyclopedic knowledge, and I'm like, but you're missing it. It's like so right in front of you. It's Two-Face. Two-Face is running this. I want to shake you, buddy. And I did feel like I was hanging with my friend Batman in this.
Something I actually was thinking throughout this, a possibility was that a clone of Harvey, and that's how they were going to deal with this. That Harvey actually was cured, but we had this, a clone version, that was created from those evil chemicals that he got sprayed with.
I thought that too. I thought that that's what they were doing with this as well. Because it became clear that the Two-Face we were seeing was totally Two-Face. Yeah. So I was with you as far as thinking that. And I think that you were meant to think that. I think they were deliberately swerving us with that. And I thought that was brilliant.
Yes. Now, the fight sequence in the library did have me laughing because before they started the fight, they all took off their glasses.
And Batman cued him too.
Glasses.
So great.
And I like the fact that there was a comic rack in the library itself. The old school comic book rack that we all enjoyed and appreciated. And again, as always, with Batman not wanting to use the priceless books as weapons because you have to be careful. It's Batman. These are the kind of stuff he does. But even it was a good, solid choreography in the fight sequence. They took every of these moments and they didn't let any of them go to waste. And I think that for me, again, it's a good good usage of the story, good usage of what they have.
I always liked Roddy McDowell as Bookworm. As I got older, that's another character that I stopped looking at as second tier and started to really enjoy because he was a reoccurring character in Batman 66. Did you get to see any with him?
I don't think I have.
So when the show became popular, it became, the place that people wanted to be on. You wanted to be a guest star in Batman.
And I'm going through. I remember I've seen tons of the different cameos, and especially when they're walking up the walls, they do the pop-ins then. But I don't think I saw any book. I gotta actually sit down maybe this weekend and do some more watching. Because I've got a couple episodes under my belt, and I got to go back and do some more. Just because I got to see Bookworm in the series, and I want to see some Tut stuff.
Yeah, it's fun what they did. So they added characters to the Batman mythos that weren't there. Some of them did translate into the comics eventually, where we got to see them, but they never were quite the same level as the main top tier ones that we're normally used to: the Riddler, the Joker, the Penguin, Catwoman. Those type of characters. And it's no accident that they're the main ones that were in the movie. But, we finally get to see Two-Face in his abandoned hideout here. And I'm with you. I was, watching this, kind of trying to figure out who is... I wanted to see the other side of the face. Is it Harvey? I thought the shadows were deliberate, to your point. That was where I was thinking the same thing you were. We're going to find out it's a clone or something.
Yeah, and it was, again... Just going through because they could do so much with this. And again, it's, I did laugh, of course, with Twin 1 and Twin 2 with the signs. But they did keep solid to Harvey about the coin toss. And even when Batman's pinned down and they can kill him very easily, nope. Good side comes up so they can't kill him. And I like that, and especially how it played out later on. These are classic Two-Face mythos put right into 66 universe. Everything fit cool. And I'm happy with the product I got. This was a great movie.
It was a lot of fun all the way through. This reminded me a lot of a Saturday morning cartoon. Saturday morning cartoons as a kid, the best ones were the ones where you kept wanting to watch them. We got a lot of cartoons that were like done in ones where they were like half-hour episodes, and yes, they were in the same like universe and they were connected and everything. But you had other ones. Like some of my favorite were the ones where the episodes were continual. It was an ongoing story that you were watching, and this very much watched like one of those. And I really enjoyed this for having that kind of feel to it and understanding what it is. And I think that's really critical when you're making, an hour and 15-minute animated feature is you don't want to lose sight of the immersion. There's an immersion of this. If you don't like it, you're not going to like it all the way through because it's not your cup of tea. But if you do, you can get captivated by this world and really pulled into it. And for this time, I felt like a kid again. My journey with Batman in the comics after this was to the 70s, the like world swashbuckler Batman, where he wasn't this level, but he was still in the public eye. And, he would go and travel the world, and kind of stuff we started to see in Batman Incorporated being brought back in was stuff that in the 70s they were doing all the time. So this was like a natural transition to the comics where the comics felt like, okay, the comics are maturing me now to the next level of where this character can go into then the comics more modern version of Batman that we're reading now. That has in some ways started to shift back a little bit to the center with what the character's capable of doing. This is, it's really interesting watching this for that piece. This is the part with the Harvey Dent piece. I was wondering what was going on here because I was in Team Batman's camp and Team Robin's camp on this one. I wanted to trust him, but I was kind of unsure too, and I didn't know which of the Caped Crusaders was going to win out on this one. Because, like you, I was thinking clone, but then I'm like, okay, well then what's up with Harvey? And are they going to have Harvey be innocent at the end? And something about that didn't set right with me.
Yeah, I know. That was the thing where, again, because they could do whatever they wanted with this, but it was really, for me, like the phone call that Harvey had with Two-Face was like, okay, so Harvey's not completely innocent, but there, and again, I kept thinking this was seen actually, the phone call with Two-Face really did lock it in for me. Well, made me think there was going to be the clone, but I liked how they have, when he's on the phone with Two-Face, the phone is covering his mouth. So it was kind of like the ventriloquist with Scarface. And I was like, man, that's, again, looking back, knowing what's going on, again, I was like, this is kind of cool. I like this.
I do too. That piece was, because I thought like you did that I thought somehow this was going to lead to him becoming Two-Face again, like the real Two-Face versus the fake one. That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought there was a second Two-Face and that he was going to eventually become Two-Face again to defeat him or something. I don't know. I didn't.
Well, I was thinking to save Batman. Harvey sacrifices and he ends up becoming Two-Face again.
Sure.
My thought. That's where I was going throughout this whole thing, until we got final confirmation. No, he's always been Two-Face all along. So, but up until then, I really liked how, again, they tease you with this. I love the bat bickering between Batman and Robin, and even Alfred trying to be the peacekeeper between the two of them throughout this, you're wondering, okay, who's right, Batman or Robin? Which one of them is right? And it turns out they both are a little bit right, and they're both a little bit wrong. So I like that. That was, so again, yeah, I keep saying I like that a lot. I noticed, but this is one of those things where it's fun, it's funny, I'm laughing, but I'm also saying this is a good Batman story. This is a good Batman Two-Face story. With little tweaks and modifications, this storyline, this whole thing, how it played out, could actually be in the regular Batman universe.
Yeah, I can see that point where it could be in the regular Batman universe because of how it's played out. The camp didn't go too far in this. And I actually liked the interpersonal moments with Batman and Robin, where he sends him to his room. Because you got to remember, this is supposed to be his kid. When you say youthful ward and all that kind of stuff, it's supposed to be that case. And I like he even says to him, Robin, I don't do this very often, but you need to go to your room. You're out of line here. And yet, we kind of don't feel that at the same time. The debate between Alfred and Batman afterwards really made me go, in all the parody of this, they're really doing some serious exploration of what friendship means to Batman and loyalty. That's why, as a kid, I do reference this show as being one of the ones that gave me a sense of moral code, right from wrong, because there was a big morality to Batman. And his loyalty to Two-Face, to Harvey Dent in this one, really is something where I'm like, that fits him. Trying to find the best in him, even when he put characters in jail, he looked at the correction system as being a path towards becoming model citizens and really being rehabilitation in this show. And I loved that aspect of Batman. Batman really gave you a sense of what it was supposed to be. This is one of my favorite sequences with Catwoman escaping the prison.
Yeah.
All because her date, didn't...
all because Batman stood her up. What's up, Bats? Come on.
Right. Again, showing... I love... This was so great. Merriweather waking up as Catwoman. So great. What a great use of Lee Merriweather in this one. This is totally a fan service moment that plays out very well, and I love that about this particular film, because we never do find out, we never get her out of the prison, do we? I mean, eventually she's going to, but they never really do show her as being escaped, right? Or the as her being free. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's funny. Now, go ahead. One of the I really dig, again, Alfred portrayal throughout all these things have been wonderful. And again, it's the partner, it's the confidant, he is a part of the Team Bat. And they really did a good job with him throughout this. His dialogues with Bruce, him dealing with Robin, and then going right into Robin. Robin in this one, he was a good showcase. It's funny because I was laughing how bad Nightwing was portrayed in the Batman Harley Quinn, but Robin in this Batman Two-Face, he's pretty solid. This is a good usage of the character. This is a good, young detective following his, instincts, following Harvey, and actually figuring out, kind of helping us figure out what's going on here. I thought this was something I was like, this is a cool Robin. This is a good usage of him. This is a great usage of him in this whole thing. Because you understand what he's doing here. And I like that Harvey Dent's trying to say, what are you doing here, Dick Grayson? And in this moment, this is where they completely swerved me. Because I thought Two-Face knocked him out. Yes, yeah. Oh, big time, me too. When here's the thing, I didn't think True Clone... Because even in that scene where you see him, you see his neck's fully green. Yeah. When they showed him from behind. So I thought maybe Two-Face's evil formed his own body. Right? Yeah. We're on the same line now. They do show kind of, there is because they kept the human side, of Two-Face in the in the shadows, so you couldn't see. But see, I, like you, thought that was meant to swerve us. I know.
And it was funny because in a way they did swerve us, because I was pretty solid on the fact that that's how they were going to play this off, that the Two-Face was an evil generation.
I wanted to see more of Robin versus Evil Robin.
Yes, yeah, oh, definitely.
Where he was fighting himself. I thought that was so great. Stop him, Batman, please. I love the punch card as being, the computer code,
Yes.
dropping out to him with date of Robin's location. I'm not sure how he looked at that punch card and knew where Robin was.
Well, he's Batman. He can read a punch card. Now,
Okay.
the everyday normal person, you can't read a punch card. You needed a machine to translate, but it's Batman, so he can read it.
Now, Jim, how many times have I told you, when you get all tense and stressed, you need to join a young men's basketball league or build a model?
Once again, man, you gotta love this stuff.
It's great. This fight was awesome. Batman versus Robin.
Yeah.
And seeing the two of them fighting, and Batman not being able to, attack Robin the way he normally would. But I love that, what does he do? He never punches him. It's more of Dad giving the kid a slap.
Yeah.
Such a great sequence of events. Hugo Strange in this, I talk so much about how much I enjoyed Two-Face. I forget which actor played Hugo Strange, but Hugo Strange was really terrific in this, because Hugo's one of my favorite characters, and pretty phenomenal.
Yeah. It was a cool bit with him. And again, it's another introduction of a character that wasn't in 66. They pull him in, but he's kept pretty true to, they didn't modify him too much for the 66 universe. They were able to keep him pretty solid to who he is.
Yeah, which I really appreciated, actually. They did, because of the fact that he's kind of in a role to facilitate the whole thing. I thought it was a really great use of the character. Now, the whole Robin piece with Alfred going, "Tell me he can be saved, sir." This is a great example of Batman's lab. Batman is constantly able to, resolve things that, just take him to Batman's lab and everything will be fine. That Batcave just seemed to have everything.
Well, you think back to the original movie, where everyone got dehydrated and their things got completely mixed, and not only was he able to sort them out, but he was able to then rehydrate the people.
Wasn't it a bat rehydrator or something like that?
Yes.
I'm saying it wrong, but it was that same sort of theme to it of being that.
First, they had the bat filter, because they had to filter out all the different, because everybody got mixed together, and then they had the bat rehydrator.
That's funny. Steven Weber was Alfred. And,
really?
Yeah, he was Alfred and one of the thugs.
Oh, cool.
The same voice, Jim Ward, who did Commissioner Gordon, also did Hugo Strange.
Oh, okay.
So it was a great, honestly, a really good. So there were people that were doing multiple roles. Like Wally Wingert did the Riddler and King Tut. So it's interesting to see. Thomas Ledden from the state did Chief O'Hara in The Prison Warden.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I like that. Some of these actors played dual roles. It worked out really well.
Now, I did chuckle when Batman and Robin drop on the giant pool table. I'm like, dude, of all the places for you to land, you really think it's smart to be on a place with giant cue balls that can crush you?
Why does Gotham have all of these themed places, like the Two Ball Club? Like, they're basically saying, Two-Face, come rob us. I mean, you think they'd say, listen, as an owner of a Gotham, like, we have certain city ordinances. You can't call it, the Joker's Wild. You can't call it,
No clown themes, no penguin theme, no ice themes,
right.
No two themes. Come on, guys.
Mm-hmm. This was another great sequence, though, where we got to see some acrobatics and things go on. I really enjoyed this, because this, as a kid, was some of the classic comics, more Joker-oriented, where you'd see these death-defying stunts in the comics, which is where I graduated from after this show. You got to see the comics do some of this kind of stuff. Not quite to this level of camp, but when I say camp on this one, it's really funny how I never felt the camp in this movie went too far. It was a balance of, yeah, that's part of the 66 piece, so it's going to be farther than you'd expect in any other Batman film. And I think that's the funny part of that last one that we saw. There was camp in there, to your point, that didn't belong. It would have belonged more here.
Yeah.
You know what? I take it. Here's the thing. Robin never looked as foolish in this as Nightwing did in the Harley Quinn one during certain sequences. And it is another example of where I liked that film, and I'm convinced I'm going to rewatch it again. But it didn't have this kind of constant consistency all the way through, where from a storytelling element, you can kind of see that piece. Mm-hmm. I like how they're all like now trying to bid for the identity of our Cape Crusader.
Yes.
And that would make a lot of sense. Why wouldn't you? Did you ever see Shame, the cowboy?
See what?
Shame, the cowboy. Cliff Robertson's character. That's who the cowboy is. He's a character called Shame.
No.
All of these villains are ones from the 66 show.
Yeah.
That I appreciated from a fan service standpoint. They brought in all of the guest villains that they could. Not every single one, but they got pretty close. This is how it ends, Batman. This is another one of those ridiculous bat traps. Where, and I love that this one, like, even any plan they're coming up with, and they're still going to be catapulted. Because there's no 50-50 chance in this one.
Right. It's going to be weighted, and they'll, because of their extra body mass. Again, I love when they throw that kind of logic into this universe, even though logic is an odd statement for what they got going on, but it's still, there is 66 logic, 66 physics.
So when he offered me this Faustian deal, and I again, when he's talking through this, I believed that Two-Face was a separate entity. And I thought that he was working with Two-Face. I did not expect where this went.
Yeah, it did throw me. Because again, throughout this, that really cemented in the dual nature. But then when Two-Face just morphs out of him, I was like, okay, so that's where they're going with this.
I love that his costume changed because of it.
Yeah, wait a minute. Well, it's just the pure evil coming out, so he's going to tarnish the good clothing.
It's a physical manifestation of the evil extractor's gases. That's what Batman explained it. So great. And the identity discovery and how that plays out. And his reaction to it, I thought, was really great, because we see that sequence where it's like, we're finally going to get the reveal. He knows who it is. This was really great. He knew it was Bruce.
Yeah.
But the verification led to the, why didn't you tell me?
Yeah, which, of course, again, cool moments, funny moments, but also a good, solid story between, between characters. Yeah,
these are two friends.
Yeah.
And I love that now this is the thing, because Robin's mask was always the one my disbelief was suspended. Like, that mask is really going to hide that that's Dick Grayson.
Right. Yeah.
But you do believe it. You believe it's just enough to hide the eyes and the features, enough that it kind of skews that. And I always fell for that piece.
Oh, it's like the humor of the Superman glasses.
Yep.
The glasses that Clark Kent wears. Oh, that disguises. I can't tell that that's Superman now.
Oh, Clock King. That's Clock King's one of the ones I forget from the 66 show.
Yeah.
They really had a great cast of villains on that show.
Well, again, the duality of the trap. The fact that they're using the bidding Two-Face was using the bidding to extract more evil essence from the villains. I love that. Again, dual nature throughout all of this. And those are always the best, Two-Face stories, where they have this, the double traps, the dual reasons behind everything. So this was, again, I was like, man, they really did get Two-Face right, but also Two-Face in the 66 universe right. They, it wasn't just keeping the universe correct. It was about also having, a good story. And it was something I liked. And I loved seeing the villains work together going, hey, you know what? We pool all our stuff together. We can outbid her. But again, really, do you honestly trust that the villains are going to pay up?
Well, I love that this has a dual thing going on, though.
Yeah.
Because Hugo Strange is extracting evil from them.
Yeah.
To fuel the evil plane. to like drive it over the city. I love that there was a greater plan to this that was going on behind the scenes. This film had some really nice, and its predecessor, the film before this one, had the same thing. There were some interesting layers that they were able to explore that you couldn't explore in a 30-minute TV show. So they were able to take this to a different level. I think the original live-action films started to do some of this, but this really started to take it to the next level of adding layered storytelling to this that it wasn't able to ever quite get to. With that, and there's this big, death trap for Batman, but there's another plan layered besides it. I guess the cliffhangers did do that, because the cliffhanger was between episodes and was always some, death trap that they had to escape that they did before the next episode. Right at the start of the next episode. Then you'd get to see their real evil maniacal plan, and Batman would thwart it. Such good stuff.
I know. And I do like the fact that Catwoman is crossed over to the good guy's side, and where she helps them get the escape. Again, it's the development of the character, where this version of Catwoman is going more towards the light, and it's a good lay down some of the groundwork they laid down between Batman and Catwoman in the TV show. They furthered it in the last animated. They furthered it even some more in this one, where she's not completely on the side of the angels, but she's fighting alongside them. And it's neat seeing the three of them work together throughout all this to take out the other bad guys.
I love that they could shift their weight 10 degrees to the left.
Yes. Yeah. And the fact that he knew that, to shift the 10 degrees would turn the coin on its side, and they could roll the coin away. That, again, those are all what Batman knows and can do that we mere mortals will never be able to do.
I love that she knows cat foo.
Yeah.
Or cat rade. Cat rade.
Cat rade.
It was, yeah. This is a great fight sequence, too. I really enjoyed this one. They did a great job of this one, of a balance between storytelling and action. And that part, having all the villains and showing a reason why we would need Catwoman too. Julie Newmar really had a great role in this.
Yeah.
Such a great way for Adam West to go out. You know what I mean? For us fans to be able to have this last kind of journey with him was it's the new and improved Evil Extractor.
Evil Extractor, yeah.
Like, you have to label it that.
Yes. The labels always make this show, man. It cracks me up.
He's going to turn all of Gotham into Two-Faces.
Yeah.
Catwoman's like, listen, green's not my color. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Hey, again, fits her, and he's like, you're going to turn yourself in, right? Oh, of course. And fingers crossed.
That's awesome. The plane bit was good, because at this point, what was great about this? I think the pacing of this film was perfect, because I never felt like the story went on too long, but it didn't go on too little. Like we mentioned in the last one, how it felt like the story ended abruptly. This didn't. The story was really evenly paced, and this is a great example of where I actually, looking back, I'm like, I don't want to say that I was unfair about the last movie. I'm like, the last movie had potential. Yeah. And there's so many great scenes in that one that I wanted it to be this. And what I mean by this is this, from start to finish, this has just a great pace. And it feels like a good beginning, middle, and ending. You see this story go where it's going to go. They never let anything go too long, but they never rushed anything either. It was really kind of, I wonder if they had to cut anything from the script to make this work. Because it doesn't show.
Yeah, and again, you talk about beginning, middle, end. nice little funny moments. Like, you got your evil, nuns, but I love when that little dog got exposed, the little dog, half the dog's face, or at the drive-in, even the characters on the screen of the drive-in. So the movie characters, they also got turned into two faces, It was like little funny moments like that cracked me up.
This is Desmond Dumas warning you to head for cover until he gets covered with it too. Why would you warn people to head for cover and then hang up at the roof?
Yeah. Dude, you see it happening. Go indoors, shut the windows. But would that even protect you? Being indoors, or would this actually get into the buildings? And, is this only going to hit people on the outside on the streets? Or, what's the depth of the attack?
I love this bat cycle as a kid with the sidecar that can turn into its own little kind of delivery method.
Yeah. And it's got the R on it for Robin, so that's neat.
I got to see that live. Or I don't know if it was the actual one or if, somebody's recreation of it. They had like a die-cast metal model of it, and I have it here. I've collected a lot of Batman 66 stuff in recent years because there's been a lot of things just available. And I really love that there's been this nostalgia because they've got a bus. Do you see the bus series for Batman 66?
No, what they got?
They've got, a series of those, like, those, what do I want to say, like, $40 busts, where they're, the statue busts of them.
I thought you said bus, B-U-S series. I'm like, bus? What the heck? No.
I'd drive around in a Batman 66 bus if they would let me buy one.
Yeah, well, you know what? Okay.
I'm that geeked out by Batman 66 right now. I did recently, it's funny from a nostalgia standpoint, as a kid, my mother was always, the big kind of supporter of my child. My dad was too. I shouldn't say that it was just my mom, but my mom would like do stuff like Avon had a Batman hairbrush, and the brush was fully shaped like Batman. And, it was during the era when I was watching Batman 66. She got me that. I found it one on in the box, new, on eBay. So I ended up grabbing that. And I had a talking alarm clock where, it used to say, it's time to get up and out of bed. Good boy, Robin very well said. That I've got that. So I ended up getting back things that had broken or, had just gotten misplaced as I got older. And in my office is like a mixture of modern things and stuff from my childhood like that were like Batman memorabilia pieces that I'm really happy I've got again. And this makes me happier about it just because this is kind of it reminds me a lot of the best parts of my childhood. Because you grew up as a nerdy kid, you don't have like a lot of friends and stuff like that. You end up watching shows like this, and these characters kind of become your friends at that point, but also kind of start to build a moral code for yourself. And I think round you off for when you're kind of at that stage where you grow out of that awkward phase. And I don't know, this stuff is like really fun to watch for that purpose. There's like a dual thing that goes on when I watch this kind of stuff, and it's kind of a nice, quaint nostalgia too. But I liked that this resolution is the whole place is burning down. Robin needs to go to safety and trust his partner in here. And like Batman and Robin have come back again. And, Batman's kind of like, listen, we are partners. There's this strong friendship. It's a different level. That kind of thing comes through here. And I really liked how this goes. But he still has to go after his friend. And at this point, he understands the truth of Harvey Dent, understands where Robin was right and where he was wrong. But also, there's still that part of him that's like, I know all that's true, yet I still believe Harvey's in there and he's worth fighting for. And he goes back in there fighting for his friend. This is the moral code of the Batman that I grew up with that I really liked. And I don't know that it's that far off from the Batman that we read about now. It manifests itself in a different method. But I really loved this fight between completely evil Two-Face and Batman.
Yeah. Well, and just the evolution into the completely evil Two-Face, where there is no more Harvey Dent, where he kills off Harvey Dent.
Supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly. And of course, in the backgrounds, they have the flaming warnings, but not just flaming warnings. Seriously, this could blow at any minute. Little funny stuff like that doesn't take away, again, from the action we have going here, from the story of Bruce trying to get his friend to fight it and come back. These are classic moments of a regular, real movie that you would see in actual serious dramas, or see it in an actual a non quote unquote campy or parody action movie. And that was something that I really appreciated with this, and I really enjoyed this for. I was laughing my head off and laughing and going, man, this is neat. This was the suspension of disbelief, not in that Batman could exist or Two-Face could exist, but the suspension that these were actual people doing this. And really good animated movies can do that for you.
You know what this does that I really like? It does feel like season 4, in the sense that there's more danger. There's a greater fight, a bigger villain, a bigger, you know what I mean? It feels like this story was taken to the next level. There's a sense of progression of the Batman 66 universe, and I think it's poetic. Whether they do another one of this or not is irrelevant to me. If they've got a great story, I do want to read it. But I want to watch it, I should say. But I really love, and I guess read it too if they do another comic series, because I really enjoyed that. But I feel like if they ended with this, I would be so satisfied, because I felt like this was just a really logical progression for this universe. I felt like the story is very smart. I'm glad that William Shatner got to be the villain in this one and really delivered a home run, because it totally felt like he embraced this and he had a good time with it. Yeah. And I felt like it was like he was recognizing, as pop culture icons, he and Adam West had a lot of similarities as far as what this era was. With the limited number of seasons of Star Trek, the limited number of seasons of Batman, how they both, kind of got typecast into their roles as their respective characters. And there was kind of a, we never really got a chance to cross paths. And they gave the fans with this what you really wanted from this. This is like the ultimate guest star on the Batman 66 show. And they gave us that epic sort of feel for this. And I really love that about this, that this does not feel like a watered down version of that TV series. It feels like it progresses that TV series. And that part I really appreciated from this, because the story has layers and depth to it and really feels like it is a successor to that TV series, not trying to somehow fit in as a lost episode in the middle of it or something.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah, this definitely feels like this took place after the series. And the last animated did as well. Yeah. It showed the progression in this, the continuation of life after the TV series ended, which is, that's the kind of stuff you want from these movies. You want from the movies after the TV show ended. Next Generation, Star Trek, did that pretty well, where they showed the progression of, Picard and the rest of the crew after the TV series ended.
I liked the whole explanation of this whole piece with the Harvey's inability to act. I cheated. I don't know. That doesn't look like cheating to me.
Hey, that was strategery, man. That was really good.
I would actually argue in favor of this being strategery. The Bat Evil Essence antidote bombs.
Yes.
Because everybody's got to have those, right? And I love that it's labeled, again, to your point about the labeling. This is an example of a movie that needs an epilogue like this. This is what I mean by pacing. This somehow just works.
Yeah. And they couldn't just, and Robin in the turret gun, that was the one that cracked me up. Because he's sitting there, just rocking the turret gun.
But I love that he's calling you two-faced fiends. And I like how Batman's admonishing him, going, "These are citizens, after all." Decorum, old chum.
Come on, that would be a ball.
It would be.
Yeah. Now, the only thing I wish they could have maybe have done is had Batgirl in one of these.
Yes.
Like they could have, this could have been one of the, she could have been either a helping spray, with the bat, the anti-bat, or even when the craziness was going on, I don't know.
Do you think that was a nod, though, to the fact that Yvonne Craig had passed away and they're like,
yeah,
But I mean, honestly, to the point, yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky one because, like you, I feel the same thing, and I think the reason why I kind of wish that they did like you was because of the fact that. Here's the thing, though: if they put her in, it probably would have diminished the role of Catwoman.
True, she would have been the third wheel. Yeah. She would have been the third fighter. So yeah,
I wish they'd had a storytelling reason why she wasn't there. Just a quick little wink and a nod.
Yeah. Well, what they could have done is Gordon could have made a comment about his daughter being away at college or away at something. So those of us who knew that the daughter was the Batgirl, we would say, "Oh, okay, that's what they're explaining."
Do you think Harvey really doesn't know?
I don't know. It's because Bruce gives the explanation that he's suppressed it. So maybe he does know, but he doesn't want to know anymore.
I like that explanation a lot.
Yeah. It's kind of like with Anne Harriet. Does she actually know?
Here's the funny part. Anne Harriet's such a ditz. I don't know. She's great. Here's the funny part. Harriet was one of those on the TV show that I was glad never. They tried to put her in the comics every so often. I'm glad she never really translated, and she worked on the TV show for her purposes, and oftentimes being a victim. But she's such a ditz.
Well, is she a ditz, or is she the old crazy like a fox? That she's just that's just the role she's playing.
And you find out she knew all along.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Because there's a couple of times, especially in this one, where she kind of gives when they're doing their cheap excuse for leaving, kind of gives a wink and a nod. Oh, you got another fishing trip, right?
I love the closing credits on this are just really great too. I appreciate that because here's the thing: they really could get away with just doing straight up opening credits and music, and it would be fine on this one. I like that they actually put the Batman dancing, because Batman's ridiculous dancing is always something that has been right back to the beginning of the series from the Batusi has been a big part of the series, and it just has that 60s vibe. So great. Such good stuff. So I guess this does beg the question: do you want another one? And I'm torn on that because this was so good that there's a part of me that's like, yes, I do, but then I think your side probably matches where I'm at.
Yeah, man. I want one because it was so good, but I don't. I want this. This is the end. And this is a great way to end. You'll sit back and remember, and just you have these fond moments. Now, continuing in comic book form is completely different because I don't have, even if they get somebody who could do a great, Adam West impersonation and who could sound exactly like him, the fact that it wasn't him would potentially take away from me. And it's one of those things where I'm like, part of me really would want to see it because I like these stories. I like how they're going with this, but I think it's time. It's done. I think this is the end of it.
Here's where I'm torn. There are people that are close to Adam West that do great Adam West impersonations that might be able to get away with it and pull it off. Here's what I don't want. And this is where I'm torn. If they've got another great story to this level that they could tell, I want it. Just because I love this universe. And I think you can do it as an homage, and it works. What I don't want them, though, is to do another one and feel like that it was a cash-in.
Yeah.
So, you and I are in the same place. I'm very torn. You could sell me on a third one if it's got to be to this level. And this is going to be a hard one to top. Because I feel like this topped the last one.
Yeah, I agree. And I enjoyed the last one immensely. So, it's one of those things where as you're watching it going, okay, now this is my favorite. No, that one's my favorite. With this one, it's solid. This one, for me, again, as I said, a wonderful, solid story on top of a cool Batman 66 universe, on top of the fact that this was a great final, this is how you go out. You go out on top. You go out with presenting something saying, bam, this is who I am. This is a great piece of work. So it's it's sad, it's painful, and it's joyful all in the same time.
Rest well, bright night. I love that.
I know. Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
I love that label.
Yes, bright night.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, as a kid, you know, when they had the whole Dark Knight and this and that, I used to dislike this Batman because of the bright night factor, because of the goofiness, because of that. And I used to kind of like, you know, come on, dude, you don't know what the cool Batman is. The Dark Knight's the cool Batman. Now I can sit back and say, no, this is an awesome Batman. Dark Knight's awesome. I love the Dark Knight, but the bright night is just that great, you know, great just description of who he is. And I was like, man, you know, again, it's, you sit there and I'm like, we'll never get another one of these. Even if they do another story, we'll never get another one of these, you know. And it's, I hold on to the fact that I did get these. I did get to enjoy these, and you know, we say farewell, you know, with this.
I like that. I honestly, to your point, I think that there's fans are probably, you know, kind of in various different places based on their. This is a great nostalgia piece for me. I love that for you it is something different, and I think there's a point to that. And I'm glad that this. I hope this one was really successful, just because I think it's a great homage to Adam West, Burt Ward, William Shatner, Julie Newmar, the whole cast. Honestly, when you say those names and you ignore some of the other people who, you know, did voices in this, this is how you do a DC original movie. And thematically, it understood who it was. And I'm just so glad. This is one I will watch over and over again without hesitation. It's definitely one that I will need to be in the mood for. I mean, because, you know, am I looking for a more modern take on Batman, or am I looking for something a little bit more classic? But this is one that will be in the rotation. I will regularly watch this one. And actually, it is, to me, it's a step up over the last one in all the right ways. I think what they did is they took what worked in the last one and said, where do we go from here, instead of phoning this one in? And I really appreciate that. And I'm so glad for all of us as fans to have like this kind of closure with Adam West as Batman. I don't know. It's kind of, he was great. So great in this. Good stuff. And I'm a Shatner fan again.
Yeah.
Out of this one, because he really did a great job in this one. And tomorrow's Justice League.
Dun, dun, dun.
To the Batmobile. Let's go. Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed. Here, ready to move out.
I would like to remind everyone about our show voicemail line. It's 1-440-388-4434 or Dr. Norge on Skype. And Jim, Sunday, I think we're going to do our recording for Justice League. Does that sound about right for you?
Sounds right.
So if you would like to get in any voicemail comments or email, ragingbullets@gmail.com, we'd love to have you part of our show. So please consider calling in or sending us your thoughts on Justice League, and we'll be happy to have those a part of our episode. Or even, you know, this or anything else you want to talk about DC related. RagingBullets.com is our show website where you'll find news on new episodes when they're released. That feeds into Twitter and Facebook. We have a Facebook page, a fan page. We're also a part of a wonderful Facebook group community. All of that can be found in our show notes, but just want to shout out everybody that's a part of all of those pieces as well. We are on Google+. You can find us on the PlayStation Network. I'm Raging_Bullets, and you're Sensei_whatnot. And I'm on the Nintendo Network. And certainly if you want a friend's code or something like that, shoot me a message and an email, and I'd be happy to add you on as a friend for that. So a lot of good stuff going on there. We like connecting with you all those different ways. We are sponsored this episode by DCBService.com and InStockTrades.com. Jim, what is going on over at DCBService.com?
Well, they continue with the bundles, and I love the bundles. One shop stopping, 50% off, different packages. Those are great. But also we have the Batman 66 Shakespeare Head Bust Bank. It does have a working hinge. Right there's where the coin dropped, only 25% off, and it's only $63.75. Thank you, DCBS.
I want to remind everyone that DCBS is a digital partner, whether you do Comixology or My Digital Comics. Go to dcbservice.com, link your account, and do your shopping through their portal. You will earn 5% of those purchases towards your DCB service order. I take care of that every month. And it's really nice because I'm doing more digital shopping through Comixology in particular. And what I'm finding is that that's adding up really fast. And it's nice when I'm not spending anything more. I know that by shopping through the Comixology portal that DCBService.com is getting something for that, which is nice because they've been sponsoring our podcast and so many others. So I feel like I'm helping them. And at the same thing, I'm getting something back when I do my DCB service order. So please consider doing that if you're not already doing it. And even if you don't shop at DCBService.com, please consider doing that just to support our show sponsor because they do support our podcast. If you are mainly a digital purchaser, please consider shopping through their portal just to help out our show sponsor with that a little bit. Over at InStockTrades.com, as I mentioned, the Omnibus, the Batman the Golden Age Omnibus hardcover volume 4, 75% off, only $37.50. You can get the other volumes there as well. So it's a great opportunity to stack up on things over at InStockTrades.com. I want to thank DCB Service and InStockTrades.com for supporting our show. Jim, our next episode, Justice League. I'm excited for that one. I'm hoping that, you know what the thing is, it's got a lot to live up to because this was a geek out fest because this film was so evenly paced. So we've had an interesting thing in this series of films where we watched Batman Harley Quinn and there were things we both liked about it. There were issues we both had. Some of them were the same, some of them were different, and we wound up in similar places towards the end of our resolution of that film. I think I liked it more than you did, but in the end, we still, that one, was a pacing issue. This one was like perfection for what it did with this particular Batman universe. Justice League, I'm hoping we have the Wonder Woman Geek Fest that we had because I'm really want that. And so I'm hoping I'm eagerly awaiting Sunday to discuss this with you. So we will see everyone then.
Bye.
Strategery. What is that supposed to mean? That's a word that I have never seen. Do you exist? Strategery. Suddenly, I don't feel as smart as I used to be. I couldn't find it in a dictionary. Oh, what the heck is strategery? Why I need to know, I don't know, it's just my way. I asked a friend I know and they told me go away. Strategery. Maybe it's something that is wrong with me. I may need a pill from the pharmacy. Maybe that will cure my strategery. Why I need to know, I don't know, it's just my way. Just because I don't know, I'll just say it anyway. Strategery. A definition isn't meant to be, or at least one that I can see. I'm so confused. Strategery.